Welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Bud Elliott. That's Danny Cannell. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and all across the 24/7 Sports Facebook network. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, come and join us in the chat. We are having fun because it is Thursday at 11 a.m., the best time of the week. Week 2 locks on deck for you. We are fired up. We begin, as we always do, with a very brief review of last week, our results, what we learned, big takeaways. Tom, it was a 4-4 week for you. The wins included Penn State, Minnesota, the under 53 in Georgia, Oregon, and the Arkansas -6.5 against Cincinnati. Losses were the over 54 in Michigan State, Western Michigan, Ohio State -17 against Notre Dame, Boise State +3 against Oregon State, and the under 53.5 in Army Coastal. Thoughts on the week 1 slate?
I mean, not a great week 1 slate. I'd like to thank Penn State for, or actually, I'd like to thank Purdue more than anything for allowing Penn State to come back and get that cover. Boise State was the biggest kind of I really completely 1,000,000% misread that, the way that game broke down. But everything else, I mean, I felt decent about every other play I made. That Boise State one is really the only regret that I have, the one that I felt like I just completely whiffed on.
6-6 on the season. I had wins that were Indiana team total under 24, the over 55.5 in App State, North Carolina, Georgia -16.5, and Florida, Utah over 51.5. The losses were the under 52 in West Virginia, Pitt, and the over 61.5 in Michigan, Colorado State. 4-2 for the week, 7-4 overall. Ultimately, I have to thank Michigan for really I have to thank specifically J.J. McCarthy for giving me some life on that over. I know I fell short, but man, what a ride when you're begging for Colorado State to just find one last score in the game. But still an L. That again, 4-2 on the week, 7-4 overall. Danny, not so disciplined, Danny. The wins included App State, North Carolina over 55, ECU +12, the under 59.5 in Ohio State, Notre Dame, Florida +3, and Florida State +3.5. The losses, Pitt -7.5, the over 54 in Michigan State, Western Michigan, Ohio State -17, North Texas +12, then a push on Clemson, Georgia Tech under 51. And Cade Klubnik made it a little bit dicey. That thing was a win, and then all of a sudden you get the push. 5-4 for the week, 9-7 overall. Thoughts on the week 1 slate?
So wasn't too far off on some of them. You know, some numbers just mid on. Pitt was a touchdown favorite, which would have got me a win. It would have got me a push, but it does show the importance of trying to get the right number. The other thing too is the only game that I was really wrong on was one where I am loyal to a fault. Sometimes I'll ride my winners a little too long. I liked what I saw out of North Texas in week 1. Then SMU came and slapped them around a little bit. That game got ugly. So I just got to be cautious. Like, I just make sure you don't ride those winners too much. You got to be selective. And maybe I was a little loose there. And D-Gen Danny came out. So get back to discipline. Although I got a long list today.
Hey, listen, D-Gen Danny is more than welcome, especially here on this week 2 slate. That 5-4 overall, 9-7, still making money for the season. Bud, 9-2. The wins were Penn State -3.5, the Tennessee team total over 50.5. Also in on that App State UNC over. Great to see that Queen Latifah smash in week 1. The first half under 3.5 team total for New Mexico State. The team total over 20.5 for Louisiana Tech. The first half, Michigan State -12.5. That cashed. And the TCU team total over 34.5. Took a little while, but the Frogs ended up getting there for you. Florida State +3.5. And the ECU team total under 20.5 cashes on a missed extra point. Woo! The losses, that when the horseshoe finally fell out, it was Oregon State team total under 29 on Saturday night. You also, the West Virginia team total under 21.5. But you 9-2 for the week, 15-4 for the season. What were the big takeaways moving forward?
Yeah, I feel like, with such a big board early in the season, I mean, it's harder to be a bookmaker than it is to be a bettor early on. Because if you're setting numbers, you got to get everyone right, or most everyone right. If you're betting to these, you just got to pick a couple that you feel are off. I like Tennessee's execution on offense there. TCU, I was a little bit annoyed at how sloppy they were at times, but they still got there. I was like, man, is Colorado really going to hold TCU under 35 or 34.5 or whatever I ended up getting when we did the show? And no, they did not, luckily. ECU was the wrong side pretty clearly. I honestly, I probably should have just bet NC State if they could score down the goal line. Maybe they cover that, but good week, and hope to have another one this week. I'm not going to sustain 15-4 against the spread. Well, if I do, I may just quit.
Yes, he is.
Well, what's important is that 9-2 means that the monitors paid for themselves.
I
don't know if the eBay transaction has gone through yet, but you can even just keep them, and it'll end up working out. All right, gentlemen.
Like the video for Coca.
Okay, like the video for Coca, or else he'll have to get a real job. All right, gentlemen. Week 2's on deck. Are y'all ready to lock it up?
Let's do it.
Since 2005, the under in games between service academies is 40-9-1.
Give me an over in this one as well. A little 2-for-1 special.
I was in SICKO last week. Y'all were watching videos. I was live betting the hell out of UL in Kentucky.
My blue plate special 5-star locks are coming. 5-star master lock. Lock it up. These locks. I'm living and dying every point, every cover.
We always like to get those weeknight games for, people are going to get this at different times. We want to make sure we tackle those first at the beginning of the show. So only 2 games on Friday night. Louisville at UCF, the game that Bud Elliott said is the very best game of the entire week 2 slate, as dictated by his first pick selection in our game 2 game draft. The other, Boise State at New Mexico on the mothership, CBS Sports Network. Our own DK will be on the call. Amanda Guerra on the sidelines. Does anybody have a play for the Friday night twofer that we've got on deck?
I have one.
Let's go.
I'll start it. Okay. Locking up UCF -5.5. It's not so much that I'm worried about Louisville's offense. I think there's a decent shot that Syracuse's defense turns out to be pretty good this year, and Louisville just got beat up. But I am concerned about them defensively. I am concerned about them going on the road to face UCF on a Friday night in what should be a pretty, loud, raucous atmosphere at the Bounce House. And with the pressure that's on them, and as we mentioned on yesterday's show, there is the alarming trend. And yeah, it's a small sample size because it doesn't happen often, but the results are pretty glaring that teams that lose as road favorites in week 1 and then find themselves on the road again in week 2 are 1-12-1 against the spread. Just not a lot of good vibes surrounding Louisville right now after I was pretty high on them coming into the season. Just it doesn't feel good. I feel like we're seeing a situation where things could spiral out of control quickly. And I think Friday night's just going to push Scott Satterfield a little further to the edge there with the Cardinals. So give me UCF -5.5.
Anybody else making a play here?
I am.
Let's go.
I'm going to take the under 61.5. If Louisville can only score 7 on Syracuse, Syracuse offense was great. Maybe they're the turnaround, but still, if you struggle against them, I think they're going to struggle. Plus, I like UCF. Gus Malzahn has the perfect quarterback for his system in John Rice Plumlee, an athletic quarterback who's got freakishly talented speed, and he's going to run them a lot. You can work the clock. You can throw it some too. I would lean towards Tom's side, but I'm just going to hop on the under in this one.
So Louisville was trending on Twitter today, and I couldn't help but be like, And it turns out that there's a section of Cardinals Stadium that is sort of their private exclusive area, and they just redid it. They are reopening it. Angels Envy Bourbon has purchased the naming rights for it, so it is the Angels Envy Bourbon Club. And I couldn't help but think that the opening of this said space probably means a lot of the people who might be asked to contribute to the hat are all in the same place right now. So I'm just saying, Scott, all the people have been together and talking about what they saw up in the dome. I know that you are trying to get ready for the Bounce House in Orlando. But just know the clandestine meetings, they're happening right now. So it'd be a good time to show that the Cardinals have turned it around and maybe go in there and snatch an upset, because I know what the number one talking point was at said Angels Envy Bourbon Club opening, and it had to do with that football program. So
hey, shout out to our viewers right now. Mike in the chat pointing out that UCF is available at -5 at Bet Rivers and Sugar House. So thank you for shopping around for me, Mike. I appreciate it.
There we go. Love it. All right, so let's take it on into Saturday. Full slate. We don't have to worry about Sunday. We don't have to worry about Monday. Everything right here. And honestly, let's start with the true narrative that is the most, like, this is driving all of the week 2 conversation. Has Nick Saban lost a step? Because for 4,003 days, Nick Saban was undefeated against his former assistants. Starting in 2010 against Derek Dooley, he ran off 24 straight wins against 9 different coaches. And these are good coaches too. Mark D'Antonio, Jimbo Fisher, Will Muschamp, Kirby Smart, Jeremy Pruitt, Jim McElwain, Billy Napier, Lane Kiffin, and the aforementioned Derek Dooley. Then on October 9th, 2021, Jimbo Fisher changed history forever and handed Nick Saban his first loss to a former assistant. Since then, Nick Saban is sub 500 against his former assistants. Has Nick Saban lost a step? And does this very important narrative about the week 2 slate inform or drive or influence your pick for Alabama at Texas with the Crimson Tide favored by 20?
Yes, it does, actually. And it basically makes me think that Nick Saban is going to have extra motivation in this game, because Nick Saban is also 0-1 in his last games against former Nick Saban assistants in the state of Texas within the last year. So there's like a double trend that he is going to try to reverse. I think just for consistency's sake, if you took Texas under their season win total, it's very hard to think that you don't have Bama covering this number. And hey, I took Texas under their season win total. So I am taking Texas. I'm going to lay the 19.5, which looks like a couple of books now have. I think Texas wins this game by 26. So
Alabama.
Excuse me. I think Alabama wins this game by 26. Apologies. Yes.
Still, can we
Texas by 26 would be pretty serious odds.
Jordan, can you clip Bud saying I think Texas is going to win by 26 and put that out on social immediately?
Do it. Hey, if you post it on social media, let's go.
Yeah, I'm jumping in on that too. It's Alabama is going to get to choose its number, and this Alabama team, I really believe, does have the mindset of, it is the perfect mindset that Nick Saban wants, where he wants to eliminate the opponent's will to compete. And he has sort of injected that fire and that motivation from an all off season. How many times has Nick Saban actually come out and legitimately talked about, I really like this team. I really like the attitude that they brought. Like, normally he uses that opportunity to light a fire under his team, and he doesn't even think that they need it. They had 55 points, at like the 7-minute mark of the third quarter?
10-minute mark.
At the 10-minute mark of the third quarter, it was 55-0 against the reigning Mountain West champs. And then they just said, we're good. We just need to sim to end. And I think that we are not going to have that same kind of approach here. Alabama gets to pick its number. Do I think that it is possible that Quinn Ewers is going to hit a couple of explosive plays and maybe even get a couple touchdowns for Texas? Yes. But Alabama is putting 50 on this Texas defense minimum. And there is no way that Quinn Ewers, with Will Anderson and Dallas Turner chasing him down, getting overpowered, the offensive line's not going to be there for him. There's no way that Texas is going to be able to get to 30. Yeah, I'm laying it with the Tide.
So you're also on the over then, right?
In theory, but what if Quinn Ewers doesn't accomplish anything?
That's fair.
Like, what if this thing ends up being like 49-10, right? And then you end up losing by 2.5 points or something like that.
Pick that Latifah, would you?
Woo!
Yeah, I mean, you guys covered a lot of it. You mentioned Alabama was up 55-0 with 10 minutes left in the third quarter and then took everybody out and just coasted to the rest of the game. They also sent in their backup defensive players for the most part, and they still shut out Utah State for the final 25 minutes of that game. And as for Quinn Ewers, you mentioned, I do think Texas is capable of moving the ball, maybe putting up some points in this game. But the other side is, Quinn Ewers is still a freshman. This will be his second career start. I don't really take anything that happened last week against ULM, which has been one of the worst teams in the country the last few years, too seriously. And I think that Ewers going up against this Alabama defense without a whole lot of experience, I mean, it's not out of line to think he's going to make a mistake or two that probably puts Texas in a bad spot and helps Alabama cover this spread. So, yeah, it would be a very interesting story as far as the narrative in the season is concerned if Texas wins this game or at the very least keeps it close. But I just don't see that happening. And I think Alabama's going to coast an easy win here, probably blow them out and maybe start kind of resting guys in the fourth quarter again, because that Texas defense, I just haven't seen anything from it. It allowed 31 points per game last year. It didn't stop anything that was capable of moving the ball at all. And Alabama, they can move the ball a little bit. So give me the Tide.
Danny, are you in on this or are you out on this?
It can't be this easy. It can't be this easy. I don't know. I'm worried about the overreactions, the obvious. It's too easy. Like if you like Bama, like I kind of like what Bud was thinking about taking an alt line and going up higher. Like, hey, if it's going to be a blowout, give me the under.
Okay.
In this game, because when you said 49-10, I'm like, I could see that happening if it is going to be this type of score. I just don't think we're going to get that shootout type of game. I would lean Texas. I just think Texas in the heat, it's gonna be hot.
It's gonna be real hot.
Get Bijan going. I don't think you try to air it out with Quinn Ewers. Good luck trying to run on that defense. But I think they'll try. I think they'll try to stay committed to it. So if I'm leaning towards Texas to fade the obvious, I think the lower scoring game would be the way to go. So I'm gonna go under. What's 65.5? Is that my number?
Yes, that's the best I can find you right now.
Yeah, 65.5. All right. So we got Latifah on the board. Danny's going to take the under. Bud, you've got I wanted to hit that one first. Obviously, massive game, also noon on Saturday. Bud, you do officially have the honors on the tee box. I'm glad you had a play there. Where would you like to go next?
Yeah, multiple monitor Bud did grab a piece of paper. Sorry, I just wanted to look at I wanted to look at the preseason lines, right? Alabama was only 17.5 at Texas a month ago at Superbook in Vegas. So it really hasn't changed that much in reaction to the opening games that got played. Also from the chat, should I buy 21.5 to 19? Absolutely not. No. Just if you like it, play your number. Don't pay to buy points in college football unless you got a book that's just really mispriced somehow, which I think are probably gone in 2022. All right. I'm going to go to the swamp here, and I'm going to play something that I think is a little bit probably inflated, but I think it's maybe not inflated enough. Florida, were they a better team than Utah potentially? But also Utah, if they cash in one of those goal line stands, I'm not really sure what this number is. But I'm going to talk about the other side here. Kentucky's offense looked like crap against Miami, Ohio. We talked about this on the Wednesday show. So if you guys don't listen to our show every day of the week, or at least Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock Eastern, put the notification gang on. You might have missed me talking about this. Kentucky's offense looks like trash, guys. Miami, Ohio's defense completely rebuilt. I'm going Kentucky under 23.5 team total in the swamp. I'm not even in love with Florida's defensive line. I think Florida's a slow-paced team. They want to protect their lack of defensive depth, and I don't think Kentucky's ready to play ball.
Yeah, Chris Rodriguez is not on the depth chart, and it would be a Cam Newton against Georgia level of acceleration of the NCAA issues if all of a sudden Chris Rodriguez ends up running out there. The expectation is that he, along with 2 or 3 other players, are all still going to be – they were absent from the depth chart. They are probably going to be absent. Mark Stoops even saying a couple of days ago, doing the "it's out of my hands" kind of thing. So the Kentucky offense, though led by Will Levis, though, as we mentioned, Tavion Robinson has emerged as a great number one option for him. He had like 11 catches for 136 yards in that game against Miami. You don't have you don't have the heartbeat, one of the most consistent players of that Wildcats offense. I don't have a great play on this game, but I think that attacking the Kentucky team total is definitely one way to do it. Does anybody take the spread?
I don't have anything on this game. I was just going to say, if Will Levis is going to live up to that number 1 QB in the draft kind of hype that we saw from him early in the offseason, on the road against Florida without your starting running back would be a great time to show it.
So this opened 6.5 and got snapped down to about 4.5 real quick, which suggests that the sharp money was just trying to get on the other side of the overreaction. Who do you think wins the game? Just like straight up.
Florida. I kind
right?
of want to get in on it. I want to go full on Gator Dan, but I'm not. But I think Florida wins.
Like if it was 2.5,
too. Huh?
If it was 2.5, you'd go Gators.
Absolutely, all day long.
Yeah, it's tough life when we're sweating. This ain't.
Well, by the way,
NFL.
were any of us big believers in Will Levis? Because I know, like in the offseason, like
No.
I think all of us kind of expect the same thing. Like it's gonna be a little bit erratic, and if that's what they're relying on to win a game on the road, that's why I like the Gators. that's one of the reasons I would not like Kentucky.
I mean,
Like the next time he plays like a first-round draft pick will be the first time.
Yeah,
And if he does that and beats me, then I'll tip my hat. But I'll keep making money against Will Levis until he actually plays like these NFL draft Twitter fans think he is.
he looks.
He
the
hasn't
part.
shown that yet.
Yeah, he looks the part. He's big and he's got a big arm. But I think a lot of times when it comes to scouting, we get stuck in this cycle where we look at what's going really well in the NFL right now and seeing Josh Allen becoming what Josh Allen has become, and then we immediately start looking for the next Josh Allen, guys that have those traits, where it's like Josh Allen is kind of an anomaly. You don't see guys play that poorly in college and then take that kind of step forward once they get to the pros.
All right, what about anybody got a Pitt Tennessee play?
I do.
Ooh, let's go.
All right, so I actually have a lot of like little small edges in this game, but the one that stands out to me is actually one that we should probably fight. Do we have any dentist drops this year? Like, we have a drill still?
Well, yeah. To review, I had a drill, and it created an uproar from the listeners who said that either from their personal experience, and that wasn't even Danny, who has his own, issues with the dentist. Like the listeners couldn't take it. So maybe we can come up with something else for the dentist. But the dentist is getting in on this game.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought
he has 2. Now he was 1-0 last week. It's on me. I was so focused on getting the monitors delivered that I forgot to read off Dennis' pick. He did go 1-0 last week.
Did he
had
take the
no, he had the under.
Okay.
So that cashed pretty easily. All right. So look, Pitt is playing at a slower tempo this year. They still have a really nice defensive line and a good secondary. They saw an air raid style attack last week. Tennessee runs a little bit different thing, that they run the Baylor stuff, but it's air raid based in theory, just a little bit different way that they attack with it. I'm not really sold on Kentucky's defense all that much, and I hate Narduzzi's new approach. But it is possible that Narduzzi's approach keeps this close for a half. So I'm going to attack this by betting Pitt plus 3.5 first half line. All right. To me, I think there's a pretty good chance this game is like tied, Pitt within a field goal, small Pitt lead at the half, and then maybe Tennessee opens it up late. The dentist agrees.
On the first half Pitt play?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it sounds to me like you shared the dentist your thoughts, and then he was
I was like, did you hack me or something?
Like everybody else? Let's get on Bud's picks.
So what was the number you got today?
Here. Plus 3.5 Pitt first half line.
Okay.
I like a lot of your thoughts for what you were saying. That's why I like the under. If you notice the theme developing today, under 67.5, I think is where it is. I mean, Pat Narduzzi has made it very clear what he wants to do. He's going to run the ball. He's going to run it to a fault. They just saw an offense similar to this. They played them last year. They've got film to help them prep. They saw Hendon Hooker before. I think they'll be able to slow them down somewhat, but more importantly, the pace of the game is going to slow it down. So I like the under in this one.
What's my Tennessee first quarter line?
First quarter, let's take a look.
I think they're averaging like 17 points per game in the first quarters this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wait, are you looking for a Tennessee first quarter team total or Tennessee first quarter line?
First quarter spread.
I've got -1.
Yeah, let's do that. Tennessee first quarter -1. as Tom Fornelli said on the Early Edge on Wednesday, the guy should be winning Oscars, Golden Globes, whatever for script writing, because that guy comes out and has 15 really, really good plays. And on the other hand, Keaton Slovis early on against West Virginia took him a little while to get settled, took him a while to get loose, especially if Pat Narduzzi is going to be trying to establish the run early. I think that sets up for Tennessee to be able to have a lead at the end of the first quarter. Give me the Vols -1 first quarter.
Actually, I can get you -0.5.
That's-
So how about that?
How
In
about
case somehow it's 7-6? You'll win on that. By the way, Jordan, can you queue up last year when Chip was aghast that I was betting first quarters? It's like we have turned this guy. Look at this dude. First quarter. Love it.
I actually did. I have watched some of that recently. I had to put when I was putting together the new Locks theme. Just because I was looking for some SICKO quotes, right? That was where the ULM Kentucky quote came from. The same episode where I was just like, I didn't. You've educated me. I've gone to the dark side on this one for sure. Any other Tennessee-Pitt plays? Nope. All right. What about we want to go to Baylor-BYU? Keep trying to hit some of these big games.
I got one.
Yeah, let's go.
Over 53.5. Total's too low. Talked about it a little bit yesterday. Hinted at it. Was looking at it. I've talked myself into it. I just look at this game. I think this is a good quarterback battle, and I think that this total is somewhat disrespectful to the quarterbacks between Blake Shapen and Jaron Hall. I think both will be able to move the ball against the respective defenses of both of these teams. And while Baylor has had an excellent defense under Dave Aranda, BYU was able to move the ball against it last year. And I know they're going to be missing a couple players on offense. They might even be missing Nakua as well, although I think there's a decent chance he's going to play. But I just think that this is going to be a fun, entertaining game on Saturday night. And I think that it's not going to be like a 41-40 kind of shootout type game, but I definitely think the winner's getting to 30. And I think that it's going to be close. So give me the over.
I want to fight you on this, but I need another point to have to be a play.
What about
I
on the
want to
side?
fight him too.
So y'all,
I'm on the side. I like BYU, and I can get it a field goal still. It's not 3.5. I can get it 3.
Yeah,
there's
definitely.
threes.
Yeah.
I'll lay the 3. I'll lay the field goal. And I watched because Chip and I were on USF last week, and it was an absolute beatdown. It was 28-0. It was 38-7 at the half. They were in complete control. One of the things that I don't know if we value enough is experience. BYU has the most experienced roster in the country of returning production. They're playing at home. Provo's a nice place to play at home. Get a little altitude. The crowd's going to be ruckus. Jaron Hall, I think, is one of the better kind of quarterbacks flying under the radar. And BYU, they look at themselves as a Power 5 school, and they take pride when they get these opportunities. By the way, future conference foes, these guys will be when they join the Big 12. But I think they've owned the Pac-12. I think this is a game they win outright by more than a field goal, so I'll lay the 3.
Danny, while you and I were both liking the edge there, we did not actually put USF on the Locks pod. You know, it was something that we were interested in. I think a pick we made on CBS Sports HQ because you go and you scan the leaderboard and lock agreements between Danny and Chip currently 1-0.
Well, Chip, you did have USF as a money line sprinkle last week.
Oh yeah.
That was it.
But I money line sprinkles when you cash.
And then I was mad I didn't take it. Thank goodness I didn't.
Well, you're currently kicking our butts in money line sprinkles, so you should take them a little more seriously, there, buddy.
No, I'm saying when you've got that Northwestern money to play with, you know, you can be a little loose. But 1-0 is about to be 2-0 because BYU covers this spread. How many games? Whoop, wrong board. And I think that this is a moment where we kind of wake up to BYU and start having those difficult conversations about how we rate, how we analyze and rank this BYU team, because the BYU independent schedule is not quite the Notre Dame independent schedule. There are going to be other games where they kind of are just going to be able to bring a like C+ level of play and still be able to win. And so when they do get those big games, especially ones at home, I think that it's an incredible opportunity for them to show out. That has always sort of been the name of the game with BYU. And I like their balance. I think that even with some personnel concerns that I think are influencing some of this line movement, the Cougars are going to be ready to go. And this is a Baylor team that has been retooling on both sides of the ball. And while Blake Shapen looks really, really good, I think that BYU ends up winning the game. So at a short number like 3, I feel comfortable laying it. So give me the Cougs. All right. Any other big games that you think we need to hit before the break?
Are there other big games this weekend?
Boston College, Virginia Tech.
Illinois, Virginia.
One.
There is a rivalry game.
Iowa State.
There could have.
You know what? I am not locking it up. Does anybody have any plays on this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then you go.
How are you not on the under?
But I would like to hear what you think.
I want Iowa under 21.5 team total. All right. Iowa's offense is complete garbage. All right. They have a nepotism OC situation going on that they didn't fix in the offseason.
Hey, that's called quiet quitting. And they tell you that it's the thing these days.
All right. Their personnel, I think, this year is significantly worse. Like I think they have worse players in the same coaching staff. I don't think the drop off with Iowa State is quite as bad as people think it is. So I think they score like 17, maybe 14, maybe 10. Hell, they only scored 7 last week against an FCS team, a good one, but an FCS team, and they didn't score a touchdown. It was 7 the really baseball way, like a 3-run homer and 2 safeties. Under 21.5 for me.
Matt Campbell. Oh, go ahead.
I told our very own Chris Hassel that I would take the under if it was 35. It's at 40, right? It's a 40 and a half.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going under because you know what? On the flip side, while Iowa's offense is atrocious, Phil Parker is one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. And I don't see Iowa State going up there and lighting up that defense. So I think it's going to be exactly what we think it is. I think it's going to be an ugly, all-out brawl with all this at stake in a rivalry game. I don't think either team has a quarterback that's going to, make a lot of plays. They're both going to try to run the football and play good defense. It's going to be ugly. I would take it all the way down to 35.5 if I had to. I'm going under. Under Danny today.
I could see something similar. 3.5 is a great opportunity with a low total for us to jump in on just to put on some old clothes we haven't worn in a while, because Iowa State gets hot, gets all this hype, they get propped up as though they're like a Big 12 title contender, get propped up as a maybe college football playoff dark horse. Then we don't get the opportunity to cash in on the 5-star culture in Ames. We don't get the opportunity as much to get in on Matt Campbell as an underdog. We've got Matt Campbell as an underdog with 3 into hook in a game that we think is going to be low scoring. Iowa has won 6 in a row in this series. Matt Campbell has not yet gotten it done. I don't know if he will get it done, but he'll cover this spread. So on the Matt Campbell as an underdog, I'm going Iowa State plus 3.5.
I am not locking anything in this game up, but I would bet the over before I did anything else.
Wow.
Ooh.
It's too low.
Is it just a gut? I mean, is that a hunchy or gut play?
Kind of. Yep. Mm-hmm. I think you know what happened to Iowa last week? Like, Iowa State was playing Southeast Missouri State. They just steamrolled them, didn't do anything special. I think Iowa was trying to do the same thing against South Dakota State and just got caught with his pants down because its quarterback did not execute the game plan very well, even in a vanilla game plan. And there might be a QB change this week.
All right. Coming up on the other side, we'll take a look at South Carolina, Arkansas, and the rest of the board, SICKO mode and all that, and our moneyline sprinkles next.
The UEFA Champions League. 9 months of heart-stopping, hold-your-breath acceleration. While Mbappe shines in the city of lights, Benzema's racking up the hat tricks, and the Reds want more magic in Liverpool. This ain't amateur hour. This is the best of the best of the best. This is the UEFA Champions League. Stream every match live on Paramount+.
I noticed that Champions League match was talking about more magic in Liverpool. I think Liverpool needs a lot of magic after that 4-1 ass whooping they caught from Napoli yesterday.
Hey, they're in trouble. I mean, I don't know how you're going to come back from that goal differential in the table. It's going to be tough. Tom so far has Alabama minus 19.5, UCF minus 5, BYU Baylor over 53.5. I've got Alabama minus 19.5, Tennessee minus a half first quarter, BYU minus 3, Iowa State plus 3.5. Danny's got the UCF Louisville under 61.5, the Bama Tennessee under 65.5, the Pitt Tennessee under 67.5, the Iowa State under 40.5, and BYU minus 3 as well. Bud on Alabama minus 19.5. The Kentucky team total under 23.5. Pitt first half plus 3.5. Iowa team total under 21.5. All right. Full board is open. Tom, where would you like to go?
Let's see. I'm going to go kind of along the lines of what we were doing with the last game, what I think is the most egregious line that I saw this week. Did you know that Northwestern's team total is set at 33.5 right now?
I did.
Mm-hmm. The Northwestern football Wildcats were being asked, are they going to score 35 points this week or fewer? I'm going to go with fewer. Yeah, give me the Northwestern under 33.5 at home against Duke. I understand that the offense looked pretty good, actually, against Nebraska in Ireland a couple weeks ago. It was unexpected. Ryan Helinski was throwing the ball all over the field. I don't think Nebraska's defense is that good. I look at Duke, I look at Mike Elko, and he comes in first game, and granted, Temple will probably be one of the worst teams in the country this year. But I felt like the blueprint and the culture was on display right away with Duke's putting up a 30-0 shutout win over Temple. This is a team that is going to put its defense forward and try to stay in games and kind of, do it the Northwestern way, the way that Pat Fitzgerald's done it forever. And they also offensively did not seem to be in much of a hurry. So I think going on the road to face Northwestern, they're probably going to have somewhat of a similar game plan. Limit possessions, keep this thing close, and they'll have a chance to win because Northwestern is still Northwestern. And I think that Northwestern will get back to more of a Northwestern approach. I think it got it into a game against Nebraska that it's really not comfortable playing, and it succeeded doing so. But I think it's going to go back to putting on home and putting on its slippers and getting nice and comfy. I like the team. I like the under for the game on its own. But yeah, the better bet is just take Northwestern under 33.5 because no matter how this game goes, there's just how can you bet on the Wildcats to score 34 points in a game?
I'm good for the full
really
game
like that
under
too,
here.
Tom.
That is like, I just don't want to just jump right on something that you revealed to me. That is just that is the integrity of this competition because you and I are seeing it kind of the same and you've got the more specific angle. And so I'll let the listeners go ahead and take that. But I was on the full game under, fired this thing on Tuesday on Sportsline. So, I'm just going to stick with it because I see it very similarly to you. The one thing that we can count on from the Duke Blue Devils right now, it's where they've got more experience, it's where they've got more talent, is that they are going to be a solid defensive team under Mike Elko. And I think that Northwestern, what it was able to do offensively against Nebraska is not going to be repeatable. This thing's going to be a low scoring. This thing's going to be a little bit of a grinder. I like the full game under here.
Brian Logan says, by the way, it's at 34.5 on DraftKings, so it's gone up.
Couple weird things on this, and then I'll get out of the way because I don't actually have a play on this. There's some chance Duke goes tempo.
Oh yeah,
which Northwestern was. Yeah, I don't like Northwestern is still a tempo team to me. They're just not super efficient. I have a hard time figuring out, is Duke that good, or is Northwestern is Temple that damn bad? The answer is probably just somewhere in the middle. But I may have something on this later.
Mm-hmm.
You know why I didn't know it was 34.5 on DraftKings? Because I can't legally bet on Northwestern in this state.
Oh, that's
so
one of
your IP
college.
Mm-hmm. I had to maybe go to a book that was not on American soil to find this one and get the money in on it.
You realize how much money I would save if I lived in New Jersey and could not fade Rutgers in their nonsense turnover luck?
That's somebody like, hey, bud, have you ever thought about moving to a state where it's legal? Yes, but specifically New Jersey, so that I can be prevented from my worst self, which is betting these Rutgers games. All right, what about
anybody have a play on the? You said there aren't any more good games. I mean, we do have the Hollywood late show with USC traveling to Stanford, Lincoln Riley, and all that star power going on to take EJ Smith and David Shaw's Stanford Cardinal Does anybody have a play in this game?
I lean Stanford, but I'm not going to throw it out as a lock. And
I lean USC, but I'm not going to throw it out as a lock.
Yeah.
If Stanford had stayed at like the 11 that it was at for a tick on Tuesday, I would probably take a bite on Stanford. You know, Stanford's students are not there yet. So, like, I don't know what you guys adjusted home field. I usually use 2 or 2.1 for home field and then adjust from there.
For Stanford,
Hey,
though?
for Stanford, it's a 0.0.
Right. It's kind of a 0.
Yeah.
You know,
Now it's going to be -0.5.
And that has nothing to do with the academic calendar. I mean, it's a 0.0 in general. I mean, that's
right.
They're doing other stuff. And so, Danny,
what do you got, Dan?
I was gonna hop on USC, but like you guys, it's just coming down. Or excuse me, I was gonna hop on Stanford, and I have a hunch this might be. Wouldn't it be a hilarious play, Hater? I'm just saying. I would like if it's coming down that much, you might as well just go all in with the craziness. When it opened, I think we did our pick show Tuesday with Brady Quinn on HQ, and I took Stanford, but it was at double digits. It wasn't as low as it is now. As it is now.
No, it
I do have something on this,
without a doubt. Yeah.
What do you got, bud?
This came in a range. I'm playing the under 6, 7.5. I think Stanford will not play tempo. I think they'll have some success against USC's defense, keeping the ball away, maybe limiting possessions. You know, USC scored a whole bunch in week 1, but they had 3 pick sixes. So maybe that's a little bit inflated. I think under 67 is worth a look here. I was waiting for it to get up there. That sounds like under 67.5 actually.
Sounds like a great chase play. You know, just to set off to the side, just to see like, ooh, Daddy needs some action on the primetime slate.
Love it.
Love that right there. All right, open board. Tom, let's see. Where do you've got only 4 right now. Where do you want to go?
I'm going to go with a play that I think is somewhat under the radar. I think not enough people have been paying attention to it. I have because I'm weird. Give me Kansas plus 13.5. Sorry, Coca, if you're still watching and commenting on the YouTube there, but this is a Kansas team that I don't think most people have really kind of caught on to the improvements that it's making. And I don't think the market has quite caught on to the improvements that it's making. It's not a team that's going to go to a bowl this year, but it is a team that has been trending in the right direction and is going to be far more competitive in the Big 12 than it typically is. They're able to run the ball. They run it with explosive plays. They did it all last week. Granted, I think it was Tennessee Tech they were playing. The opponent wasn't much, but we also saw it towards the end of last season where they were finding more success in that offense. And it's starting to look a lot like the offenses Lance Leipold had at Buffalo, where they were just explosive run play, explosive run play, explosive run play. And I think West Virginia defensively showed me some holes and some gaps in that game against Pitt last week. And I think Kansas is going to be able to fill them, take advantage of it. I still think the Mountaineers are going to win this game at home. I think asking Kansas to go on the road as a 2-touchdown dog and pull off the upset is a bit much, but it's going to be a lot closer than West Virginia fans are going to be comfortable with. So give me the Jayhawks and the 13.5 points.
I thought about that. Yeah. I'm not enough to go lock agreement though. All right.
I would love it. I mean, if it was 14, I would be like just screaming from the mountaintops.
Let me go.
Are you leaning under here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think we have a similar thought on this.
Let me go another 13-point dog, sort of fire this out of the way. I cannot say that I was the first person that was enlightened to the idea that UNLV might not be terrible, but the Rebs showed early that they were playing with some spunk, some fire. Idaho State is Idaho State, but to be able to look that functional and to execute that ruthlessly was impressive. So they find themselves as a 13-point dog against Cal. And my question is, what about Cal says that they are built to run away from or blow out a competent football team? And if we finally hit the point where UNLV is in that competent football team, their power rating is going to have all the bad factored in because we're still so early in the season. I think this can be a 10-point game. I think this could be a 7-point game. I think UNLV can put a scare and make things difficult for Cal, make them sweat just a little bit. So I will go with the Rebs plus the 13 against Cal.
I don't hate this. The only real issue with this, and I did bump my number here by a point. So UNLV's D coordinator came from Cal. And I don't think UNLV's defense is that good. And I'm a little bit worried that Cal, given that, like he runs that Wilcox style system, he may be able to see, wait a second, like UNLV is really bad at this, and this as far as their defensive rotations and adjustments, and then tell the offensive coordinator at Cal, who I don't think is very good,
Correct,
exactly what could mess up UNLV. Like it's the first year there as a DC, I think. Like it's an install. That's the thing that scares me off that a little bit. But there's also this possibility Cal's offense is just terrible again, and UNLV has does UNLV have better skill guys than Cal? I think they might.
They have a turnover slot machine on the sideline. Winners. That's you're UNLV and you've got a turnover slot machine.
That's true.
It's incredible.
That's worth at least 3 points.
At least. The Stanford home field advantage 0.0. UNLV turnover slot machine 3.2. That's how we handicap it. So yeah, give me the reps. All right, where do y'all want to go? Open floor.
I got one for you.
I was gonna say, Danny's got a hard out coming up. So what do you got?
Yeah, I got a hard out. Let me get a couple of mine out there. Air Force is playing Colorado at home. Are you guys aware that Air Force rushed for 582 yards in one game this past week? Are you aware that Colorado got beat by TCU? Colorado's not going to be very good this year. They have to travel to the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. It's on CBS. I think my guy, Troy Calhoun, knows it's an opportunity on a national stage to make a little statement. Air Force is going to be favored every game they play this year. They've got a chance to possibly be that first academy to make a New Year's Six. It's an opportunity to make a statement. I think this game is ugly. I think it gets sideways. So give me the Air Force Academy laying. What's 16.5 or 17? Where's my number?
I can get you a 17.
I'll do 17. I'll lay it. I think they win by 3 touchdowns easy.
Lock fight. Fight. I know I can get you a 17 because I can find a Colorado plus 18. This is a principle for me. It's nothing against Air Force, Troy Calhoun, and what they're doing there, but this is a Power 5 opponent they're playing, and I'm supposed to believe the option team is going to be a 3-score favorite and cover that. I don't think Colorado's very good. I know that they lose Shrout last week. He got hurt. He is not available this week, but you know what? I think Brendan Lewis is an upgrade at QB. I think Brendan Lewis was a highly rated 3-star coming out of high school. He's a dual threat. He's a tremendous athlete. I think having him running this offense against Air Force will give Colorado something of an advantage on offense. They'll look better, giving him the week in practice to get ready for this. I think the Buffs are going to look a lot better this week than they did last week against TCU, which I think has a better defense than Air Force does. So give me the Buffs plus 18.
So the thing that concerns me here, I like Tom's principle that he's just saying like, what? Like I knew when it came out, and because I even texted you, I was like, see, eye emoji, seen the Air Force Colorado line, but Colorado gave up 275 yards on the ground at 9.2 yards per attempt against TCU. That very specific weakness in your game against a team like Air Force, which isn't going to run for 582, but is probably going to run the ball 45 times, is
There's one key difference, though.
What's the key difference?
When you're facing a Sonny Dykes offense, you have to worry about the pass. When you're facing Air Force, you really don't.
But that means they were prepping for a Sonny Dykes offense, and now they've got a week where they've only got 1 week to prepare for that attack of Air Force and all those cut blocks coming your way.
They'll be fine. This is a state rivalry. Getting 3 scores?
Yep.
After 0 lock fights in week 1, we finally have got some blood on the board. A nice little Tom and Danny lock fight here on week 2. Danny, why don't you keep it rolling here? Oh, you do? On the same game?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want under 49.5. Shrout getting hurt. Lewis can't throw the ball. So
doesn't have to.
They'll run around a lot. The clock will run. We know the clock runs when Air Force has the ball. I remember Daniels was banged up for Air Force in the offseason, so I wonder if they get up big, if they don't pull him and put the backup in. I think under 49.5 is a solid look here.
All right, Danny, keep it rocking.
You'll notice a patriotic theme coming up. I got one more play. It's all I had anyway. Arizona State's traveling to Stillwater, take on Oklahoma State after Oklahoma State almost had a disaster on their hands against Central Michigan week 1. Spencer Sanders was awesome. They take him out, and then they go, oh, crap, we got to put you back in because our defense is giving up touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. And they did able to secure that win. Arizona State comes to town now. I want to take the Cowboys and lay the points, but I still got to see that defense improve before I do that. But I have all the confidence in the world. They're going to put up a boatload of points against Arizona State. Emory Jones may be able to do the same against that defense. So I like the over in that one, over 57 in Stillwater for that game. I like the over in the total.
And then that's it?
That's it.
Okay.
I'll drop my money line sprinkles in the chat.
Okay. Well, I gotta go ahead and get.
You got to fight?
No. You said you've got a patriotic theme, so I guess I should. I'm worried that I'm just going to entice you into a fight, but give me Memphis -6.5 against Navy, because we saw a flock of blue hens take down the Naval Academy last week. It's not looking great in Annapolis. Memphis has won 3 in a row in this series. And can I still get a 6.5?
As far as I know, you can.
Yeah.
You can still get a 6.
Yeah, there's a 6.
There's a lot of 6 out there.
Oh, man.
Somebody knows something.
Somebody knows something. Nah, give me Memphis -6.5. I think that we might be watching Navy sink. So I'm just going to go ahead and have that opportunity.
Communist.
With the series history, and a competent conference team. I also let me go ahead and get North Carolina, Georgia State over. This line has been dropping, and this is where I've got to remind you that sharps with all your little models are wrong 40% of the time. Yeah, you fire on 1 billion games, you're going to end up making money, but if you think with your calculator and not with your brain, then you're going to miss out on these opportunities. North Carolina will score. North Carolina will not get any stops. North Carolina, Georgia State's going over. So it's moved like a field goal, and I don't care.
I so badly want to join you on this.
I'm joining you. Lock agreement.
Oh, man.
I'll join you too. Let's go.
Yeah.
I got a massive man crush on Drake May, in case you guys didn't know. Like, I'm ready to christen him a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions after 2 games. I still got to see it. I think they're going to have no problem scoring points. I mean, look what he did without his best receiver last week. I think he's still going to light these defenses up. But until I see Gene Chizik's new look defense that the Carolina Tar Heels have going for him, I'm not buying into it yet. So I think it's a shootout.
The reason I'm not joining this, because I want to protect the sanctity of the infinity, and this game could have a lot of rain, which doesn't always mean bet under. A lot of times it actually means bet over, but Georgia State did not play with the same normal Georgia State tempo last week. And like, my numbers say over, but that's assuming Georgia State gets back to its normal tempo. And I'm not really sure if they're going to resume playing normal tempo until conference season. So I'm like a 1.5 off from joining you guys on this, but maybe if some people want to bet it under for me, I'll hop back on.
Memphis down to 5.5.
Hey,
oh, baby. Just
our viewers are awesome this week.
Standing on the freight train
Loving
right
it.
now. Let's
They
go.
also got me +4 first half with Pitt, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's
On it.
it's kind of cool.
All right.
I have one last one. You
okay.
guys have more?
I have, let me double check.
No,
I
I think
cleared
you're
out.
good.
I only got sprinkles left.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hate to do this, but this is something that I was already on before Sam Hartman came back. So if I like the number without Sam Hartman, I like the number better with Sam Hartman. What's the best I can get here, Tom? 11.5, 12, basically?
I get you 12, yeah.
All right, I'll lay the 12 with Wake.
Wow.
I don't like Vandy's pass rush against this Wake attack. I think Vandy's actually a pretty improved team, but stylistically here, I don't like the matchup for the Doors. And we really haven't seen this defense be tested by anybody yet. So I'll lay the 12. The dentist actually has -7.5 in the first half here for his other dentist pick of the week. So
even the
we actually
dentist is going against. Wow.
Yeah. Should we tell the dentist story? It's the first time this year we brought him up. Like a 2-minute dentist recap for somebody who was here when he first started on.
Well, all right. So the origin of the dentist story.
Yeah.
It was Barton in a lock show introducing his picks, saying, "So I was talking to my dentist the other day," and he proceeds to go into an Ole Miss pick. To which, over time, we have learned that the dentist, I can't remember if he's a graduate or a fan, but the dentist has his finger on the pulse of Ole Miss football. He knew when to ride them. He knew when to fade them. He knew the overs. He knew the unders. He knew series history with all the other SEC teams. And the dentist, as a, man of culture, also happens to understand the rest of the SEC as well. So him getting in and getting a little taste of this Wake Vandy game, it doesn't come as a huge surprise at all. Is that Tom? Is that a fair? Like the dentist origin story was Barton being like, "Hey, so my dentist gave me this hot tip," and we were like, "What? How? And you're sitting there here out here. Are you talking about college football?" Yeah.
He's also
Thank you. Short round in the chat understands. How much conversation do you have at the dentist? Keep it real simple.
The woman who cleans my teeth has a lot of conversation while you're there.
Oh yeah. Also, like one more dentist story was there was an incredible moment in the Egg Bowl where the dentist's Egg Bowl bet and a season win total all hit with the Elijah Moore dog urination celebration.
Yes.
Like the insane ending of that Egg Bowl allowed for the perfect middle that he had created with his hedge, and a fantastic moment where he was able to cash a season-long win total and an Egg Bowl wager, all as an Ole Miss fan. So elite stuff there from the dentist. Glad to have him back. All right, anything else?
I do have one.
Okay,
Jordan, play that song.
Oh, you got to say Chip.
Oh, sorry, Chip, play that song.
Let's go.
I'm a little bit lower on some of the teams in the bottom of the Sun Belt. If things go wrong, they could be like UMass UConn. That's kind of like sicko mode of a sicko mode.
All right. What? Okay, got it. Never mind. I'm going to go to Toledo. They are hosting UMass. And this is
a sicko mode of a sicko mode.
This is an interesting play here. But I do track injuries pretty religiously here. And I also track the fact that UMass's quarterback situation is terrible. Those guys, they can't throw the ball at all. But defensively, they were pretty game last week against Tulane. It took Tulane a longer time than I think some people would have wanted to cover. So I am showing what's the best I can get here. 49.5 on this for the under.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take the under here, and I'm going to take Toledo under 49.5 sicko mode play. I just don't really think these teams are going to score a whole lot of points. So give me the under on that one. That's your sicko mode play of the week. I'm sorry, I don't have as many sickos this week. Like last week, I had 5 or 6 sickos.
Well, the problem is like you look up and down we have to do the.
I don't want to force it.
Well, we have to do the top 25 expert picks for CBSSports.com, and I was looking at the card, and it's a whole lot of FCS.
Yes,
like a whole lot of 34, 44, 44.5. I mean, it's just you're not having the stars align. Week 2 always looks bad, and then is like very, very entertaining, and we have enough to chew on that I think it's going to be delicious. But at the same time, if we're not going to catch the real good sicko stuff with as many FCS games on the schedule as we have. All right, before we get to the moneyline sprinkles, a quick review of the against the spread and over under locks. Tom has Alabama minus 19.5, UCF minus 5, the BYU Baylor over 53.5, Northwestern team total under 34.5, Kansas plus 13.5, Colorado plus 18, North Carolina, Georgia State over 64.5. Chip Scott, Alabama minus 19.5, Tennessee in the first quarter minus 0.5 point, BYU minus 3, Iowa State plus 3.5, Northwestern-Duke under 58.5, UNLV plus 13, UNC Georgia State over 64.5, and Memphis minus 5.5. Danny, UCF Louisville under 61.5. Bama Texas under 65.5. BYU -3. Pitt Tennessee under 67.5. Iowa State under 40.5. Air Force -17. North Carolina Georgia State over 64.5. And yeah, that one's out. Alabama -19.5. Oh, for Bud. Alabama -19.5. Kentucky under 23.5 team total. Pitt +4 in the first half. Iowa team total under 21.5. USC-Stanford under 67.5. Colorado Air Force under 49.5. Wake -12. And the under 49.5 in Toledo, UMass. That brings us to our money line sprinkles. Last week, we saw Florida hits for Tom. Illinois was a loss. I lost USF. Was Arizona last week? Or was
that was last week?
Cashed Arizona, lost USF. Danny lost on UC Davis, his guy, Dan Hawkins, but was cashing on Arizona and cashed that Old Dominion against Virginia Tech. Bud, Middle Tennessee does not cash. North Texas does not cash. Texas State does not cash. And was Kent State last week too?
Correct.
All right. So, Tom.
I'm still 0 for on sprinkles.
Yeah, 0 for 5 right now. Chip 2-1, Tom 2-2, Danny 2-3. Danny's sprinkles. Ooh, Navy +2.5. He is going patriotic. Army +120 against UTSA, and Pitt +205. I mean, you know, the way that Pat Narduzzi would love to play like a service academy. So let's just say it's all service academy money lines for Danny, going Navy, Army, and Pitt. Tom, what is your money line sprinkle for the week?
I've got 4. Should I just throw them all out?
Yeah.
All right. Well, my first one is, sorry to your lock unity there with Daniel, who's no longer here, but give me Baylor +145. I understand why the spread is what it is, but one of the reasons I'm taking the over is because BYU's defense wasn't good last year. Like, it was ranked 90th or so nationally in success rate. It gave up a lot of points per drive. And then against Power 5 opponents last year, again, a smaller sample size, but its success rate defensively dropped to 52.3%. It allowed 2.34 points per possession. It had an EPA of -0.12 per snap. It was not very good against Power 5 teams. So I think Baylor's being discounted a little too much on the road here. I think that the Bears are going to win the game more than this number suggests. So give me Baylor +145. Boston College +125 on the road against Virginia Tech in a battle of two teams that absolutely have to win this game. I just trust Jurkovic more than I trust Grant Wells right now. That's really all that this boils down to. So if I can get plus value on the Eagles, I'll take it. Houston +137 on the road against Texas Tech. I think that Texas Tech should be favored, but I think Houston wins this one often enough. And I didn't lock it up on the spread or on the total, but I am doing a money line sprinkle because this seems a little too big in my eyes for a game I don't expect to be that high scoring, although it'll be higher scoring than people expect. But give me Iowa State +155.
Damn, we I like a lot of those with you.
All right. Let me come and get a bite of the best one-win team in America. They were a one-win team last year. They already got one win. We got Mississippi State, led by Mike Leach, going west. We've seen this movie before. We've seen all kinds of results from Mike Leach out west. Give me Arizona. What's the best number that I've got there against Mississippi State?
I can find you right now.
We got 330.
330, yeah.
Love it. Okay. Also, fantastic. Wouldn't it be hilarious vibes all around Palo Alto? Give me Stanford on the money line against USC, because if Lincoln Riley doesn't have a good "what's your deal" impression that he can break out to really channel Pete Carroll from 2009, well, then he might need to get it ready when Stanford plays some ball control and keep away, and that USC defense can't get any stops against the run. So it's an all primetime, all sort of West Coast based money line sprinkle for me. Arizona, the best 1-win team in America, making it to 2 wins, and the wouldn't it be hilarious play of primetime, Stanford getting it done on the farm, on the field, against the transfer portal all-stars. Let's sprinkle it.
All right, I've got a couple here. Maybe I'll actually hit one this week. Give me Eastern Michigan plus 370 going to ULL.
It's time for sicko mode. Let's go.
On the off chance that Duke is actually as good as they showed, and maybe Narduzzi plays this a little bit too close to the vest and they get some turnovers against or something like that, give me Duke plus 305. And I'm gonna join Tom on Baylor plus 150. I kind of need to take a bite of this somehow because in talking to these coaches who were after Gary Bohannon in the transfer portal, they were all really impressed with Blake Shapen. So I feel like if I don't bet on them at least somewhat in their opening game that I can actually bet on because I couldn't get the FCS stuff last week, I'm going to be missing out. So I can't get away from that one. Those are my 3 for this week. Now, I'm not putting this on the official ledger, but if you want to put like $5 on something, I think San Jose State plus 1,500 is an absolutely would be hilarious with the look ahead spot to Penn State next week for Auburn.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wait, so
Can you imagine?
What's even the spread? I mean, even making that
1,500, it's like 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Late. I mean, I'm not going to throw it on as a lock, but listen, some late nugs right there.
I'll throw $20 on that. Why not?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. San Jose State in Jordan-Hare at night. I can just smell the giggles, the primetime giggles all over the place. Awesome.
How would they spin that one? Like, what would the SEC network be saying?
Listen, that is a good Mountain West team.
They won the conference 2 years ago. That's not some pushover. They had
the main reason I'm not betting
Ryan Harsin from the Mountain West. They knew what they were getting into.
Their offensive line was terrible in the opening game against an FCS team. So I'm a little concerned. If they could block the FCS team they played, they might not be able to block Auburn. But
Nathan in the chat doing the money line alt line, as he said, San Jose money line and Auburn minus 35 alt line. No in between.
I would not recommend a 35-point straddle. There's quite a few in betweens there, actually. But
I don't know, man. If butts get tight, then San Jose State's going to be able to get that thing done. They went on the road for a whole year, spent so much time together. They were ready to go. You got something else?
No, interesting note from the chat, actually. Not that the chat doesn't always have interesting notes, because they, of course, do. This is Narduzzi's 4th time he's faced Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, because of Virginia Tech Pitt.
Yeah, that's a nice note.
Not the same Virginia Tech offense that
no, slightly different.
Like Hendon Hooker is playing. I do not have the depth chart pulled up from Virginia Tech a couple years ago, but I will say that off the cuff, Tennessee has a better offensive line than Virginia Tech had in front of Hendon Hooker. I remember Virginia Tech blocking for Hendon Hooker being a little bit of an issue, and very different offensive scheme in terms of how long you even need to block. So, yeah, sure. But a very, very good note from the Pitt fans that are very, very fired up about having an SEC opponent in town in the big mustard bottle. I'll never let it die, whatever Acrisure means.
I'm not, just one more note. I'm not putting this on my card because I've already got 4. But in that weird 1 p.m. Eastern start time slot, South Alabama plus 176 on the road against Central Michigan might be worth some consideration.
South Alabama's defensive line looking good, right, bud?
Yeah, I think they really are. Central scored more points through the air than I thought they were going to score last week. But it was really garbage time-ish, so
we'll see.
I can see it.
Not bad. And finding the 1 p.m. game is always just like you're digging in for the goods right there. You got to work for it.
Drowning, reaching for a life vest.
That's a ESPN Plus.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's already going to be on an iPad, 2nd, 3rd, 4th screen. So you'll be.
If you log in, they send that money right to whoever ESPN's corporate sponsor is, right? for gambling. Like, hey, check this guy out. He's logging in for a 1 p.m. Sunbelt MAC showdown. Player
Call
profiling.
Call the cops.
I mean, we've already gone over an hour. Thanks everybody for hanging around. We did not draft Missouri, Kansas State in the week 2 game draft. We do not have a lock here in Missouri, Kansas State. I will start off by saying I plan to learn so much more about these two teams. I have zero confidence in these two teams at this point in the season. Bud, Tom, do y'all have any thoughts on that game? I think what are we looking at for the spread? Is it 7?
It was 5.5 or 6
5.5?
last I saw. Yeah. It is current. Oh, it's up to 7.5 now. I would like it a lot better under 7. I'm not betting this thing. I would lean towards Kansas State, but I don't have any confidence on either side of this because I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I'm still trying to figure these teams out.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a good data point for us to be able to look at them and then move forward, but no lock for me because I just don't have a good feel at all for Missouri or Kansas State.
I made it 8.6, and I have a lot of uncertainty score on this because I don't know what pace Kansas State's going to play at, right? Like there's a lot of articles you can read saying Kansas State's going to play faster, but I read these every offseason when you have head coaches like Kleiman who traditionally are very slow paced, and I am sort of in we'll believe it when I see it mode. And I like Kansas State's defensive line an awful lot. So do you really think they're going to tempo it up against Missouri? That's probably the game Missouri wants to play, right? So it's hard for me to take a team like that to win by more than a touchdown, even though I did make it, slightly over a touchdown there, unless I'm actually confident that they're going to play enough possessions to cover that. You know what I'm saying? So I just I don't know what tempo they're going to play with. It's weird to be into week 2 and still not know, but I just don't know. So I'm going to pass.
All right. Well, we will be back on Saturday night with our instant reaction to all of week 2 action. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fernelli. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See y'all.